Oh, Tamra can hear me. She's in the back. She's our guest today. She's an amazing person. I mean, I guess I could semi-intro her now because there's actually so much to talk about with her. Whoever is hearing this, and we will subtitle this hopefully, will completely understand Tamra Farah, how amazing she is. She's a resident new to Arizona. So we are going to bring her on later. There's so much news always going on here in Arizona and of course the nation. We cannot, Robert, are we good yet? We're just checking back, guys, to see if we are with you
Yeah.
for real. Oh,
Okay.
I think we're back. And if you haven't been following, we might have had some audio issues, technicalities. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So we learn that every Friday here, and our guests are always very patient so far. Hopefully, praying that will continue. But lots in the news. It's Friday, March 21st. We're back in Phoenix, Arizona on American Perspective with Patriot Mom007. We're thanking you for being here again. Hope you guys had a great week. And with so much happening and with the technical difficulties, we're going to play catch up, maybe drop one of the videos, Robert, in the lineup just to get back our time. And so we're going to talk about Elon first. Just like to do one or two things in recap. And this one was something pretty, I thought, interesting and
What have you
thought-provoking.
done that warrants this? Done except help our country.
Yeah, I mean, it's really come as quite a shock to me that there's this level of really hatred and violence from the left. I always thought the left, or Democrats, were supposed to be the party of empathy, the party of caring, and yet they're burning down cars, they're firebombing dealerships, they're firing bullets into the dealerships, they're just, smashing up Teslas. Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged, there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
And I think there are larger forces at work as well. I mean, I don't know who's funding it and who's coordinating it, because this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this.
That is interesting, right? I mean, here you have this genius guy working for free, getting death threats for free with his young child, witnessing all of this, which could be traumatizing to an entire family, by the way, if you hadn't thought about that part. He is a person after all. And he's saving people in space, and they're trying to burn him down, literally, figuratively, and literally. And by the way, the dealerships, he doesn't own every single dealership in America. I mean, there are other business owners involved that depend on the livelihood of these dealerships. So burn one, I mean, you could ruin a community practically, or a family for sure. So I don't know, other people who think that this is okay behavior, maybe just for a second, pretend it was somebody you know or care about. And if you wouldn't want them to be treated like that, don't do that to others. Where that golden rule thing still applies, 2025. Who knew? It's crazy. The simplest things, right? Tamara's going to agree. I know she is. She's hearing me. So she's going to pretty much, I think she's going to agree with all of this. And I mean, is this a hype or is it a hoax? Because we had a green news something for a few years that they harped on, spent all billions of dollars on, and all of a sudden, Mark Kelly in Arizona is buying a GMC oil guzzling, which I love, by the way, love the old cars. But I mean, there's no green issue anymore. Just putting that out there because that seemed to disappear in the air, like poof, gone. So another Friday, right? And thank you, Elon, by the way. I'll say it every single week. We really appreciate all you're doing for the entire, nation. Even the people who are coming after you, they're going to benefit in the long run, which hopefully they'll think of that too eventually, because they seem to not be thinking at all about anything. And then just we are going to just skip this one, Robert. I know you have it queued up on my second graphic. I was going to show this video of this protest, which, by the way, was just to point out that hundreds of people in the middle of the day are holding signs on a street, chanting things like "Don't buy cars from Nazis" and "Save the Earth" and the patriarchy. So we need dads. I mean, patriarchy, like it's a dirty word or something. I mean, we need the fathers to go with the mothers to make the children. This is how the world works, right? From the beginning of time. If you didn't read it, that's a quick synopsis. If you don't want to read the whole Bible, that's pretty much the basic gist. Boy, girl, two sexes, and they proliferate the world, and we continue to need to do that. But here they are in the middle of the day holding signs, no jobs, no responsibilities. And then somebody was holding up a sign, hilariously said felon across her in big, bold letters. So I guess, they don't really think about the imaging, like she's holding up a sign, basically calling herself a felon. So I don't know. Anyway, and then one said, support your country and from a reasonable looking gentleman, actually older. And I just thought, if an American company in America, American workers don't have to belong to a union that tells you what to do and takes your money for your entire existence, and he's putting out a great product that you guys said would save the entire planet. Like, if he's not, that's not supporting your country. I do not understand the term. And maybe Tamra Farah, our guest today, is going to be able to explain it to me because now she knows my, issues of need of help. So she knows a lot of stuff that I do not know. And that we're going to find that out because she is fully accomplished. Let me tell you this. I always think I'm busy, and people say, wow, you're so busy all the time doing this and that. But when you read what she's been up to, you'll have to wonder, as I did, we're going to ask her how she did it. I just want to know, basically. So just flat out. So I'm telling her this because we haven't really talked. So I'm actually telling her what I want to know specifically. We're going to talk about all of it, her books, everything, her affiliations with some great organizations in Arizona that I just learned about that I adore these organizations. Arizona Women of Action, Kim Miller. She's been around. She's wonderful. And she does so much for our community. Did not know she partnered with them. So, and I'm just prefacing to her now anyway, because I try not to be on screen when my guests are. So that's why I do it this way. So they can hear what I need. Anyway, so Tamara, are we good? We're going to be good, right, Robert, to go right into it without that second graphic. So she's young. I mean, I'm way past, I think, her mark. I'm in that other century side of that, and she's in the other side of that half century side. So anyway, that might be that. Maybe that's the difference. She got all that extra energy, those extra 10 plus years. I'll tell you what, that adds up. Not gonna lie. So she's a mom. We love moms. I'm Patriot Mom. It's in the name if you wonder why I use that. She's a big parental rights advocate. We've got a lot going on. Everybody trying to strip the rights of parents the last few years. Certainly started with the DOJ. We had Kelly John Walker on a couple weeks ago, who's still in 4 years later after they basically ruined his life in Arizona. And death threats. And so she advocates for parents. I mean, we can't have enough of those people, right, these days because they're the biggest targets sometimes. She also, this one is great. She's a classical charter school co-founder. And we'll talk about in Colorado, she has got that. And she'll tell us about that because, I sit on the board at Freedom Academy in Phoenix, and we're trying to make big changes, for our kids when they've been trying to, drastically change their lives. And so it's, I mean, just another coincidence that I didn't know and I hadn't met her before. So this stuff is just, it's amazing how Arizona is a really big state, but it's a very small town. And she works on promoting limited government. Oh, who doesn't like limited government? Us and independents. So we should never lose an election again just based on that fact. I'm not a pollster. I don't pretend to be one, but I'm just saying, just that one fact alone should get two-thirds of the voting population. Always in this side. So she's also worked as a senior director and advisor level for Americans for Prosperity, Freedom Works, who we love also, Moms for America. I mean, come on. And for pregnancy centers also, like helping just all areas, people in different stages of life, right? And different needs. And she was working directs the Smart Families Network. I want to ask her about that, of Arizona Women of Action, which I just mentioned with Kim Miller, one of the founders and director, and Allison Furno, too. You guys might know her. And then some of us work with Independent Women's Network. I mentioned that. We'll bring that up, too. So, and I'm the co-chair of Phoenix. So, I mean, all these things, just weird, oddly enough, some people call it intervention. I don't know. But it's weird how things align years later and everything kind of comes together and you just get put in these positions after a few years of meeting people here. And it's it's just good. I think the networking is great, and this is what I'm just trying to provide today. So if it's something you haven't heard about, resources that you haven't known about, and you are a parent right now, and probably the most tumultuous time for parents, possibly that we've known of, now would be a time to meet Tamra Farah. So let's bring her on. She's been so patiently waiting back there through all this stuff today. So Tamra, thank you so much for coming on today with me.
So happy to be with you, Noelle. Thank you so much for having me.
She's just thinking, oh my gosh, does she stop talking? So I guess this is a
Oh,
sickness of podcasters, like, or live streamers. We're not podcasting apparently. But so yes, it's like there's so much to say about you. I mean, it's going to be hard actually to not talk about you, but I do want to hear from you. And let's just start off real quick because there's so much. So I want to get to this so that if people start looking things up while we're talking, which I always do, your book, right? Life Giving. Tell us about that.
oh yes. Actually, that was a co-authorship, oh, I want to say 20 years ago.
Yes.
Just a couple of years ago, I really felt led to write my story. You'll all be happy to know it's only 94 pages long and it's only a Kindle ebook and it's like $5.
Yeah,
So,
very
um,
inexpensive. Amazon. We're
I
going to
know,
add the
right?
links.
And
Yep.
it's called Mama Bears a Rising. I feel I'm a mama bear. I mean, I bet we have a lot of mama bears listening in. I hope we do, because we are such a sisterhood, especially in today's climate. I know we'll get to some of this on what's going on in education and what's been going on in education, which has been my heartfelt focus, and the projects I've worked on since 2021. And you mentioned parental rights, which feeds right into that. So I felt so led to tell my story related to really my journey with God, becoming a believer, all the way through how that impacted my activism. And honestly, I'm some people might say, oh, this and that. But to me, it is kind of simple. Maybe I'm too simple. But I
Right.
literally just ask God, when I felt a burden about something like human trafficking when I first learned about it in 2011, and I just said for a year and a half, God, what can I do? What can I do?
That's right.
And he gave me this incredible open door and platform to expose human trafficking in the state of Colorado at the Capitol for 6 years.
Yep.
And so, we just go on, but uh, honestly, I think I just really want to make that point that all of us are in the end are everyday girls, right?
That's right.
And whether you're a mom with little kids at school and you just think, well, what can I do? We can always put our hand to something, even if it's at the school, be involved. Even if you're mad at the school and you're mad
It
at what's happening, you should all the more be in the school and
that is
volunteer.
that
So
is
yeah,
so
it's simple things.
true.
The simple things can make a big impact.
That is so true. You're right. And when my kids, my boys, they're now almost, gosh, 20 and 23 the next couple months, and they live together, and which is so great. I mean, I'm so glad. And they work together too, actually. So they commute together every day. And yeah, it's just great. And so when they were in school, to your point, I mean, there was issues with school that made me not want to deal with the school and just stay away and the engagement, like you have to find a way to just be there and pay attention to what's going on because part of what we're going to talk about, so that might be a book you might want to pick up. So to my point of today, on Amazon, Life Giving, all of this is in the descriptions on Rumble and YouTube. I guess Twitch, D Live, Odyssey.
Mhm.
There's a whole bunch. I don't know if I have to name them all. Anyway, they're going to be in the description on YouTube and Rumble, easiest to find, Patriot_Mom007, and all the regular channels too, right?
I feel so
So,
bad to tell you this, but the book, this is a different book.
well, there's a companion book.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because that other one I was like
Yeah, I saw that
a
with Tammy.
with author. Yeah, and it's a
Yeah,
completely
yeah,
different topic, but it is a great topic.
yeah,
So
yeah.
thank
No, no,
you
no.
for
I saw
sharing
she's
it.
got a few books out. We're gonna put all the links up. No, no. It was just more an overview
Oh,
of your
yeah,
work. Yeah, yeah. Because we couldn't
yeah,
talk about them all, right? So this
of
one
course.
was, I don't know, kind of spoke to me.
Oh,
So anyway, no, this you got to get on and look at all her books, right? They're super inexpensive and you got to have them, right? We got to have the resources to be involved on any level, right? We've got to know what we're doing if we're going to do something. So you need the tools to figure that out. It doesn't just happen when you sleep at night, does it? If it does, somebody tell me how to do that because I haven't figured that one out yet. Darn, I'm always doing it the hard way. That's why I have Robert Chula Vista Live in the background because even though we have technical difficulties, because he is not a magician, he's, just super, super smart with IT. He can't control everything, but all the other stuff he's amazing at. So anyway, go get the book, get the resources to start on this journey. As a parent, it takes a lot of help. You need the village. And now this is the village. The resources are the village nowadays because we don't live in a village. So I don't know. I feel like I need to spell it out like some people don't understand what's happening. I could be wrong. So I do want to ask you, because you're affiliated with so many organizations that we know, Freedom Works, Arizona Women of Action, real give me a brief on what you did with that project for sure. And then a couple things more that you were involved in with the pregnancy centers. I want to hear about that and give us some resources if they're on the top of your head. We'll put them in, but um let's throw them out to here if we can. So go ahead and just kind of catch us up on all of that because there's so
Yeah.
much.
Yes, yes. And part of that is, I operate out of organization that started as TFPR, so publication, or excuse me, um, a communications organization that I started about 15 years ago. And so then I've gone on to do projects. So I've not always worked, full time for organizations, but they want to get something done, something launched, something strengthened. And so that's a little bit why you see so many different organizations on there where I've been a couple of years or 1 year, or whatever,
Right. You go where
is
you're needed.
coming alongside and
Yeah.
helping. That's what I did with Arizona Women of Action last year. And that project finished, toward the end of last year. But of course, those friendships are not finished. They're awesome people and
They are.
wonderful parents that I met as well, and community members. And we were really, through that effort, trying to do something to really encourage parents and community members, because community members, you pay taxes for your local schools and you have every right to address the school board and to speak up and defend parents' rights, as well as proper education for children and removing these woke ideologies from the classroom that have not helped children
That's right.
uh,
At all. It's
grow
harmed them.
academically,
It's actually harmed them. It's not even not help
harms
them. It's
them.
worse than that. It's
Exactly. And
physically harm them. Yeah.
yes, and then working with Laura Zork and Parents Know Best, and of course Amy Carney is a part of that group, and
Oh, Amy Carney from here?
yeah,
Oh, our kids
they've
played hockey together. Our boys
yeah,
played hockey together.
it's awesome. They've restructured that because Freedom Works actually went under a few years ago, which was amazing
Yes.
because it was such a legacy conservative
And they
organization.
were here. I know. I
And I
know.
love seeing that Laura and Amy are continuing on with now, Best in Ed. And so basically, we did a huge project together to create a book, if you will, or manual on parental rights. And, one of the things we fight for, all of us that are engaged in fighting back against what is not good in public education and fighting for the things that will help children be prepared for success in the future, is the concept that parental rights are fundamental and supreme. They come from God, not government. And as much as the leftist leaning people and teachers, some that are out there, we respect them and we appreciate that they're working hard. But we want them to, come alongside parents and really involve the parents in anything that their child is facing in school, any of their needs. And of course, historically, that's how education worked, public education worked. Parents were very involved.
Right? Yeah.
They knew what was happening. And we've lost some of that in public schools. And so holding, yes, they can hold parents accountable, but we also need to hold them accountable for what they are exposing our children to in the classrooms. And this is an ongoing fight. Now, I'm just going to, sorry, I'm going on and on here, but I do want to
No, this is why you're
everybody.
here. Please go on and
Okay,
on. Yeah.
awesome. I just want to mention for those who have not seen this, and it's been, I think I've posted it on my social media, or we can post it and make sure people have access. But we're seeing things roll out from the new Trump administration. We can come back to talking about what's happening with the U.S. Department of Education and share some
Yes.
there. But in the meantime, even prior to all of that being settled, the U.S. Department of Education put on their website a portal for parents and even, grandparents and those that are close to kids and have receipts on trouble and treatment of children that is inappropriate or that was harmful to them. And yes, that could be the sexualizing of kids for sure,
Right.
but also related to DEI and race-based criticisms and treatment. We don't want that for any color of
Right.
child, right? We want everyone to be equally respected and cared for. And so the portal is there. And, for the first time in my life that I've been aware of government, I'm actually confident that they're going to look through those submissions and read those receipts and take action.
That's
Now, of course,
amazing.
the proof is in the pudding, but just think of all the things that are out there and nobody really ever does anything with it. Send this
R-
here, submit these things there. And then they just fall through the cracks when it comes to government. But
That's right.
hopefully I'm looking at this as a test. Will they actually take action? And then also just the DEI threat that came from
Yes.
the Trump administration, that if you continue that program, yeah, they can rename it, okay, but it's not hard to find out that it's in operation.
Right.
Sorry for the wordsmithing
So
gymnastics.
are
They
you saying,
just
wait,
don't
are
work.
you saying I really hadn't even taken in consideration that they could just rename the
Oh yeah.
program? That didn't even cross my mind. I just
Well,
figured,
yeah,
oh yeah,
no,
so
I think it probably doesn't cross a lot of people's minds because you think, oh, well, they took that out. That must be gone. Just even like social and emotional learning, which includes a lot of the diversity, equity, inclusion concepts, they're renaming that. They're rebranding it.
right,
Even the gay and lesbian network. And as freedom in America, people can make their own personal choices, but it's very different when it comes to other people's children. Um,
right.
it's not their right to choose how to influence other people's children. So I like to make that point, even though I'm a Christian, I believe strongly there's male and female, and it's proven. I
Right.
was a biology major. I was pre-med. I know for a fact
Oh, there you
that
go.
every single
So you
cell
not
in
only
my
studied
body.
it, you paid to learn that. So
I know
you're
every
taking
single
that one
one of
lesson with
them.
you, the male, the female, the two
I know.
sexes. That one
But
is
if
going to
people want
stay.
to pretend and they're adults and they're not harming or pushing their ideology on
Right.
anybody else, it is a free country.
Well, and all we do is push, all these movies and limited series and Netflix and all this stuff of all this pretend world.
Yes.
Everything's a VR world now. That's what they're going to go to. That it allows people to easily, I think, move into that space where they don't know reality. I mean, if they have any issues other than, not having issues, they could push them into that. And we have mental illness, abundantly here in America. And so we're conditioning all these people with all this fake stuff living in a non-reality world. And then they want to decide that boys and girls can be whatever, whenever. Like, it's almost like we've created this whole group of people with all this other bad influence that they're being bombarded with all the time.
And we do
So,
want to speak into that, don't we? Even though there is an element of freedom of choice for lawful behavior and that doesn't involve the abuse
right.
of children,
Mutilation, right.
yes, and all of that. And yet that's not to say we should be complacent, right? It is our job to speak into culture. And it's like my t-shirt that I got from Turning Point back right during COVID that I'm wearing today. And I used to wear it like every day almost when I went out shopping. And that's really what it comes down to, isn't it? Is we the people on your shirt need to
Yes.
be
Oh,
courageous. We
this I
need to
think
be,
I think I got this from an
see,
AZ Women of Action thing. I'm
isn't
not,
it? Oh, I have so many of their t-shirts. They're awesome.
I
If
feel
you
like I
don't have
did.
Arizona Women of Action t-shirts, go to their website and get
And
some.
they have a beautiful, their t-shirts are so nice too, by the way, like she really
Yes.
like, I know that seems silly, but when people give stuff away, if they're not user friendly, they're not very thoughtful. I mean,
Right.
just saying, it's still free, I guess, but if you can't use it, what good is it?
Yeah.
And so she really puts like some, she really knows. She's like, let's have people wear these. And what Kim Miller, we're talking about Kim Miller, AZ
Yes.
Women of Action. So look that up. That's a great resource, by the way. They just had a summit, which I missed. Unfortunately, I just saw the post the other day. I'm like, oh, darn it. Anyway, they do things all year long. You can get involved at any time. So get on azwomenofaction.org, I think it is. And but so with all the things that you do, just to kind of want to sort of just hone in on, I want to talk about this bill, that I mentioned at the top before we came on, or maybe when we were on no audio talking away over here um, about Illinois, wanting to, oppressively go in now since they just lost grip of the Department of Education after all these years and that iron fist they had on the entire environment. They are now switching to homeschool parents who are in the privacy of their home that they pay for with their own money. And they want to basically run them as they do everything else. I know you hadn't heard, but did you look it up? Did you see the bill? Did you find it?
I did. I did.
Yeah.
And,
What do you think about that?
again, it's just another picture of government overreach and intrusion into the lives of private citizens.
Right.
Um, so, and they're using the abuse card, right? They're blaming it on the potential that there's more abuse going on in homeschool among, within homes that are homeschooling. Because the kids are, oh, some of these parents take their kids out of school so they can homeschool them and then they can abuse them all day. I mean, you just think about that. First of all, where is the data that proves that?
Right.
Secondly, there's been a tremendous amount of provable, traceable, reported abuse in public school classrooms.
That's
And
right.
then it's just ramped up dramatically in the last, let's just even say decade.
Yep.
And so to me, it is like the pot calling the kettle black. It's ridiculous. I just don't see the grounds for it. But I'm sorry, I don't know if Illinois has a trifecta. I assume they do, that they have a Democrat trifecta.
They're pretty blue for
Yeah.
sure.
So here's the thing, just in putting that in a bigger picture, I have been considering the possibility that with things being, pushed to the states with the Trump administration federally, I would imagine that we're going to see more of this type of reactionary, I'm going to call it reactionary activity at the state level in
Right.
states that are blue
Yep.
because they feel like, okay, well, I don't have Biden anymore. I can't lean on the federal government to do my bidding or to,
Right. Well, and they have nothing else to control. I mean, they
push
can't
my,
not be, yeah, they
yeah,
can't not be in control of
exactly.
of nothing.
That's
Then
right.
they'd have no money, they'd have no agenda, they'd have no lobbying, they'd have
Mhm.
no way to control the entire population of the next generation as they've done pretty successfully, I might add. I mean,
Exactly.
we can bash on them all we want for what they do, but they've done it and they've done it successfully, and we had no idea. We, as in everybody who came before me who was paying attention, because I've only been paying attention after I raised the kids by myself. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have time for 20 years and I didn't know
Sure.
what was going on, and maybe that's part of the problem. And so these types of shows, even though I'm a little fish in the big pond over here, um, I know different people than the big fish for sure. And Tamara does. Now I know she knows different people because she's, in a different atmosphere. I was going to say sphere, but she's in the actual atmosphere. She's like around the entire globe. And so we all have to work together to use this bad technology that gives us grief every day, for sure, for our own good and to get the word out as best we can, whenever we can, if we can. And so, you know, I don't really ask for support like on Venmo or stuff like that, but I probably need to. Actually, people tell me I should. But anyway, I see probably why you have to because it does take a lot of time to do this. So it's really important, though, that this stuff gets out there because of Tamara's information and the agencies, organizations that she works alongside, you know, we have to tell people and you have to go look them up. It's a little step of work on your part, and then that's how you get those resources so you can educate yourself to become involved to save your community and ultimately our children, right? At the end of the day, that's what this is all about. So, where I wanted to go to also where people can, how they get involved before we lose track of the information part. Um, Tell us about the different avenues where they can find you, get involved. We'll come back around to some other stuff, but I always want to get some of that in it now too.
Yes, I would say the simplest way to reach out and connect with me, and I'm just so happy to hear from any of you that are listening today, is at Tamra Farah on all social media, and you can just DM me there. So,
Perfect.
yeah,
And then how about organization wise? I mean, you have American Strategies. Are you still a part of the company? I'm not, I was trying to,
yeah,
you are.
yeah.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so it's been basically a vehicle for a variety of projects that I've engaged in because I do tend recently now, I've worked before, for example, for Americans for Prosperity for 3 years in Colorado. That was a full-time job. So I've worked with organizations full-time in the past in the Right to Life movement,
Right?
uh, fighting against abortion and supporting those who were in crisis pregnancies. Those were also. But otherwise, I've done campaigns. I've worked on campaigns, and I've worked with other organizations on various projects, as we've kind of discussed. And so, American Strategies just tends to be sort of an umbrella for all of that.
Right?
And I do have a lot of media. Um, am technically a journalist and have been a regular guest on many of the conservative news shows. And I've got a lot of that content living on American Strategies for those who are
Right.
interested.
So
So
very accomplished. And in really what above the accomplishment side of it, which is impressive for sure. Because I'm a mom too, and I try to do a lot. And I guess now that you've summed it up, I mean, I guess that's kind of the direction I've moved in, where I do kind of work on something for a little bit and then something else. And I was thinking that might not be ideal always, but then it just seems like if somebody needs help in the moment, it's like at this point in my life, I feel like I wasn't able to really give that much all those other years. And maybe I'm feeling to play catch up or something because I also can't donate millions, right? And so then you think, well, God, then what do you have is just your time.
yeah,
So it's really important volunteerism, and it's not easy to do for sure if
yeah,
you're not
yeah.
self-funding, if you don't
And
have a donor or something or
right.
sponsor. If anybody wants to be a sponsor, let me
I mean,
know. Take
thankfully,
any applications.
I've been paid for pretty much all the projects I've worked on, so that's a good thing.
Oh,
But
but yes,
but there
truly,
are
but
always volunteer efforts as well.
right, which is also
And
important.
if it's okay and you've got the time for that and you've got the bandwidth with possibly a job as well.
Yes.
I
Try
think
to find a way to give what you can whenever you can. But in
exactly.
any way you can, in
I
all
know.
the ways if possible, like you do actually. And do you have anything coming up? I mean, it's already a busy year. Obviously, you were mentioning everything that Trump's doing with the DOE,
Yeah.
and we're going to see so much more. I know we had the press conference yesterday. They said it was a photo op because he didn't do any grand kingly gestures that would make them say that he's a dictator. He didn't, wash the pen across the gold piece of paper and dictate something. So then it was just a photo op, and they were criticizing that too. It's like you can't win. Like there's no way to win with them. So you might as well do the dictator stuff and just get everything right
Yeah.
as fast as possible. Frankly, that's my vote. And
Well,
but
yeah, I think to answer your question because in the end, I'm an everyday mom and wife.
that's right.
And really we are. So even if a woman has a high powered job on Wall Street. If she has kids, I guarantee she loves those kids, right?
That's
And
right.
cares about her kids. And if she's married or not, she has family. And that's the heart of a woman. That life-giving book goes into that about the heart of women and what our nature is. We give life. That's what we are now, unless we're
That's
embittered,
right.
deeply wounded. And if
Right.
we are, and
But we
all of
are
us
life
had
givers.
to
We were
overcome. All of
designed
us
as life.
had, yeah, we've all had to overcome certain hurts. I mean, my mother was an alcoholic. My parents got divorced when I was 8 years old. I haven't been through the worst of what many people have suffered, but
Right.
I've had to have healing for those things, right?
Yeah.
And if you see life in me, I have to say, it is the life of God because He gave me that. Otherwise, I would probably be bitter and angry, you know? And
Right.
so, and I'm bringing that up because I would say the inspiration or the motivation to help others, we have to be somewhat healed ourselves,
That's
right?
right.
In other words, if you haven't received something, you have to give someone something, you have to have received it.
Right.
And so, and having that servant heart. Like I don't always have to be the top leader, right? I don't mind coming alongside other people and helping them succeed. So all of these things come out of, my walk with God. And hopefully I've grown in that through the years. I probably was a little different when I was in my 20s. Well, now I'm in my
Right.
60s. So, but I'm blessed. I have a husband of 42 years. We have two amazing
I'm
kids
sure.
that we adopted, and those are miracle stories. Our daughter was spared from abortion, and at the time
Wow.
I was praying, this girl ran out of this abortion clinic, and we find that out 2 days later. So I mean, God is always wanting to be with us, right? And to guide us and lead us. And so I would just encourage any moms that are listening, any women or even guys, don't think that you have to have a career in politics, or don't think that you have to have a big position in some nonprofit to make a difference, because you really don't. You
Right.
can literally, when you get to know people that are running for office, let's just start there.
Yes.
And when they're running for office, ask them for some of their flyers and then get on one of these apps, either the GOP app or the Turning Point USA app, and go knock on doors and hand out that literature. So, a lot of times activism is super grassroots. It's down to earth. I mean, I think I did 300 doors uh,
Right.
myself, leaving behind, flyers for school board candidates in
Yep.
2024. And so, it's not always a big, huge job, a 40-hour-a-week thing. We fit these things in, but I want to just, if I may, just tie all of that to the country and to the Constitution. This is where I love your t-shirt. Yeah, the people.
Yeah.
Our
For the people.
country is the only one in the world that is a constitutional republic. It drives me crazy when they call it a democracy. This is
Right.
not a democracy. There are democratic elements, but we are a constitutional republic. That means we have a representative government, and and that makes the difference. And we will not save our country through just the Elon Musks and the Donald Trumps. They're great. They're amazing. I'm in awe every day. I feel like it's Christmas when I wake up to see what they've done.
Right.
The last 24 hours. I'm so grateful. And yet, without all of us watching out, what's the city council talking about? Are you gonna wake up one day because you didn't take time to learn what the city council was talking about and find out that some of your property rights have been infringed upon?
Right. Or they're
Might,
overbuilding and
you might if you
yeah,
don't follow it. And you don't have to go to every meeting, but you can go online and you can
that's
see
right.
minutes
Like the
and
Board of Supervisors, we encourage people to go
totally
down. Yeah, they spend all their
let
money and nobody
they
knows.
do.
I
I
just found out
know.
last year. Last year, I've been here 25 years. No idea. And I've been 4 years going to meet and greets and meeting my candidates. I always
I love
encourage you
that.
guys. They're so
Yeah.
accessible. We're going to have them on here. We just had Jorge Rivas from CD7 on here. Uh, and and that's why I do this too. That's why I started doing it actually was candidates. I would say if you can't get to them, which is hard at 7 o'clock at Chandler on a Tuesday night. I mean, yes, it's totally hard, and I don't go as much as I used to. But then you can catch up with shows like Patriot_Mom, like American Perspective with me, and and then you can share that information, right? So for other people who can't drive at night, because our night vision is terrible after a certain age, right? There's that. So that's a whole population that can't run around town meeting and greeting. And you need to know who you are electing as in hiring because you're paying their salaries. And so what Tamara's saying, and then by the way, they run our schools that
Right.
keep our kids safe every day of their lives practically for 12 years. Imagine that 12 years that you report to an institution where now they're locked down. After you get in, like, they lock the doors, a lot of them electronically now, and glass in the front, plexiglass. It's very resemblance a little bit of a prison at this moment. I mean, I've never thought about, I thank God my kids are out of public school. That's a fact. They did not do, thank God my kids are smart too. Thank God. Because had they not had that intelligence gene, yeah, they would have gotten left behind. I mean, there were some great teachers, really, really great teachers, but staff, administration, they're not doing our kids any favors. And they've been out a couple, 3, 4 years now. So actually 6 years too for Tommy. So now I don't know what parents are doing. So tell us a little bit about where can they find some really great parental resources for people who don't know where to get started, who to get, like, where do they look up? What should we be looking up? I could tell them, but I want you to tell them because you know much more. And then if their kids are having issues of anything, what's a good resource avenue for parents for help to start finding that?
Yes, yes. So one of the projects I also did was for Moms for America, and we launched a group and a element to the organization that was for parents, and again, making them aware of their rights and understanding how to navigate the landscape if their child's in public school. Well, having resources. I think probably some of our listeners are familiar with Moms for America. Just Google it. You'll easily find their website. It's a very robust website. Amazing women running that organization. And I had a lot of fun with them when I was with them.
Yes.
And then Be Best. It used to be Parents Know Best, but now it's actually, I'm sorry, Best in Ed is the name of the organization. And that's Laura Zork. And again, tremendous amount of resources that you can take short Zoom-based classes to learn as well.
That's
Especially if you're
great.
running for school board, they have that training. And we have locally with Pam Kirby, she has a
Oh,
great organization training potential school board members, candidates,
yeah. Okay.
training them
Pam
and
Kirby, she was with the
preparing them.
AZGOP.
Yes.
It,
And then of course, Arizona Women of Action,
yes.
so many resources there. Some, that relate to parents and education. Of course, nationally, there's the National Moms Group. Why am I,
Moms
can't
for
think.
Liberty.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It just like went out of my head.
We have a chapter here in Arizona, actually. I think Tatiana
Totally.
Pena. Do you know
Tatiana is
Tatiana?
amazing. She and
Okay.
I have
I
had
found
time
out.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
So,
connect with Tatiana. So
yeah,
we
perfect.
don't have to do this alone. I'm so glad you brought that up because, Noelle, because, that's one thing I think as women, we are so relational. We want to do things together with other women and we want to come connect with women and learn what they have, what they have for us to learn.
That's
And I
right.
know I've done a lot of that in my journey. And I encourage any of our listeners that are like, I just know nothing about public education. I don't really follow any of this. Where do I start? So I'm glad you asked, Noelle, because I think those are some good places to start.
Yeah, there is a lot of information out there also that makes it a little overwhelming. Like, a lot of people, this stuff is overwhelming. Let's just be honest. Number one, it can be confusing because they're confused all the time, obviously, or if things would be running way better all these years. So that's a given. So if they're confused, if the leaders are confused and they're in chaos, which they clearly are, at least one side for sure right now, how do you expect them to lead us? So unless we're engaged on the really hard work side of it, the grassroots side of it, unfortunately, not the $172,000 a year salary that turns into 36 million 6 years later, and then you have benefits for your lifetime. It's a good gig for sure if you can get it, I guess. It does come with its downfalls also. Like, their souls, some of them don't have them anymore. That's a kind of a big give. So, you just wait and balance.
Yeah.
Um, for sure. But you have to be involved in all these organizations that Tamara just mentioned, Moms for Liberty, Moms for America. And Moms for America was just highlighted yesterday with the DOE, the press conference with President Trump, just to say they've been around for all these years. It's not that we wanted, to slash anybody's existence and their livelihood. But certainly livelihoods should with that bring production of value towards others if you're getting payment for it. And right now they're getting lots of pay for it and they're not producing any value for anybody else. Parents, definitely not kids, but then that rolls into the parents and the house and all of it's being ruined systematically, accidentally or on purpose. Who knows? It doesn't really matter, does it? We point fingers like that's the fight. That's not the fight. Doesn't matter. Maybe they mean to, maybe they're subconsciously doing it because they believe it's what they want, what they think is good, and they're just accidentally harming our kids permanently, you know? But regardless, it's up to the moms, the stepmoms, the adoptive moms, all the wannabe moms, because you never know. I wasn't having kids at 25 at all, and then I wanted to. So you don't know when, if or when you'll ever be a mom. That's not up, necessarily our choice. So you kind of want to be prepared to make your community the best you can as early as possible when you find time, right? So it's never too late to jump in, is what I'm saying. I jumped in half a century mark, and I'm glad I did. I can't imagine being 80 and waking up and not knowing how to use the phones then that are implanted in our heads and,
Right.
being cut off from everything because the world's moving too fast. So you got to find a time to be like, okay, I'm just doing it, like toe and then the dive, right? Or
Mhm.
I guess the cannonball at that point. But Tamara, there's we could definitely, if I had more time, which I keep going back between 2 hours, 1 hour, but then Robert there in the back at Chula Vista Live Data, who already struggles on the front side with me. Every Friday we go through the same camera on, working audio, not maybe hopefully reboot. I mean, it's like, honestly, I told Tamara, it's like every show is like the first show. And I told her that is good and bad. I keep thinking it's terrible. I'd like it to be perfect and seamless, but then it's like it kind of makes it exciting because you kind of get that excitement again, like, oh my gosh, is this really going to even
Yeah.
work? Like the first day of school, I remember all my first days, first through 12th grade. And it's good. So you got to challenge yourself, right? Even if it's the same challenge every week because you're kind of old and you're past the curve a little bit, you feel like you are. So you're just feeling like you're not caught up yet still in 2025. But just do it. And, it'll work out parts here and there and hopefully in the end it'll if we all do it, it'll work out for everybody. I think that's what I was getting to. That was a long story for just working together makes the most sense. That's what it really comes down. I could have just said that. Tamara, so I want everybody to find her, like she's a wealth of knowledge, obviously. So we're gonna have her back now that we know her, and she's just 20 minutes down the road, actually. That's the really ironic part. And we go to things all the time with the same organizations we've never met. But I know we will now because once you say hello to somebody in Arizona, practically, and you see them all the time after that point. I've noticed that as a phenomenon. Maybe you haven't been here long enough, but that seems to be the way it goes. And then you see them like you never didn't. Then you wonder, I wonder how I met them. Then that happens. Me and Christy Narcy, our chair for Independent Women's Network, Christy. And you did an interview with her I saw the other day. I wish I had pulled that up. That was fun to watch. And she's our chair and our national director for Independent Women's Network. You want to look that up because we have an Arizona chapter here, you guys, that you want to get involved and find your people, whether it's a resource, education, organization, chapter, what neighborhood block party, watch party, book club, whatever it is. Mahjong, that's real big out here now. I know a lot of my nail salon clients, they love the Mahjong. So find a group and then just start talking about stuff and trading information because if you don't, and we just all aimlessly walk through life and hope it works out, we're probably going to be less than pleased. I'm just saying, right? Is that a fair assessment? Would you agree with that? Or like
I love that.
I mean, not to, I hate to, I don't, it seems simple, not to put it down to the minute, like just a end of sentence period, um, but that's really what it is. I mean, just basically you just have to get involved and you have to want to know what's happening to make a difference. So I just want to say thank you, Tamara, for number one, missing another show on Monday that I had kind of pre-scheduled you with. Sorry about that, but I know he's going to reach out to you soon and get you rebooked because now he's going to see this. I'm going to send him the link and make him jealous that I had you on first. And what an amazing guest. So, Jim Price, if you're going to hear this, I'm going to send you the link. So maybe you'll click the link. You may not be watching live because I think you're going on your next show with the time change and all. So, the Jim Price show. Anyway. Uh, but I'm glad I got to have you on because I even learned some new things too. And I'm just really pleased to meet you and know
You
that we have so
too.
many
Thank
new
you.
Arizonans. Look at the new Arizonans that are making our community and our state better than it has been and better than it could be for all of us. So I just want to say thanks for all the work you're going to be doing. Obviously, you're not going to stop until everything's the way we think, it's good for our kids, right? And
Yes.
thanks for all the work you've done for the kids because it's a lot of work with your own kids, and for various reasons, divorced or not divorced, and there's still lots and lots of challenges both ways, right? Just different ones, and kids are different, and their interactions and what they're bringing home. So it's a lot of juggling. So for you to be helping in so many other ways, just is, I mean, I don't know you, but I'm glad I'm going to get to know you
Me
because.
too. Thank you.
Maybe when we hug, there'll be some kind of transference of fairy dust and energy level that you clearly must possess in the some kind of like battery pack somewhere. I don't know.
Oh gosh, too much
Anyway.
sometimes, right? Way too much.
No, it's never too much. You always need more, right? There's never enough hours in the day or the week. So with that, we're probably coming up on my end of my show. It's always like hard to start, never want to quit. I guess that's, all good things, right? That's how that goes. But if you want to hang out in the back room, just so I finish up, you're more than welcome to listen. But you don't have to, don't feel obligated. But then, let your friends know you're on here. And if you would, I mean, I'd love to direct more people to you. And, I think we just got to work together. So thank you, Tamra
Thank
Farah,
you, Noel.
for
Thanks for
being here
having me.
so
So
much to the
enjoyed it.
Un-American Perspective. Okay, we'll talk to you soon for sure. Luncheon for there's going to be a lunch involved, I think. Hopefully, Christy Narcy, if you're watching today, because I sent you a link, my chair and my friend, I need you to try to put together a lunch, maybe with Kim and Darla and everybody again. It's been a while. It's 2025. I think that we should, work on the small community stuff and the big community, but also we can't forget the nucleus parts also. It's very hard because everybody is pulled in 1,000 directions, no doubt. There's an AZ free webinar from Darla Gonzalez they put out, AZ Free Enterprise. You guys can check them out. Another Arizona organization. You can hear from our locals here. She brings in guests, all very informative, government information, things on process, things on learning about our bills, our candidates, like you name it. Darla brings it to you on those Friday updates. So you want to check that out. I've got to get all those links. I haven't done that, but now that I'm talking about it, if I forget, people put it in the comments because I think as we get older, I think the comments are actually that's what they're for, is for you guys to remind us older people who the memory goes, you just don't know when it's going to start fading out. The comments are to help us remember everything we talked about. So fire them back at me, then I can go review the notes and I don't have to take the notes while I'm talking. It's a whole process, you guys, but we still do want to actually we have a couple more things to acknowledge for sure. The first one Robert's going to bring up one more little news clip before we do our MAGA minute because I love that. That's the best wrap of the week. If you haven't watched Carolyn Levitt yet, we provide it here because she sums it up like nobody can, and it's hard to keep track of all that President Trump is accomplishing, every 24 hours since he's been in office. So we're going to get to the MAGA minute in a minute, but first we're going to look at some winning. Trump has been winning a lot. And let's see, I'm going to have to go big screen. How do I go big screen? Well, I don't know, you guys. I can't really see that, darn it. So to read it, and can you zoom in for me, Robert? Because I can't zoom in for some weird reason. It's that darn IT stuff again happening. but there's a bunch of winning on the Republican platforms. If I had my other folder up here, I'd pull up the graphics. But basically, we're winning in everything all the time. I mean, I think that's the free enterprise, secure borders, honest elections, real journalism back again. If you noticed, she's inviting new people who've never been allowed to even be near the building, let alone in the room for the press briefings. Thank you again to Caroline Levitt for doing that and opening up the free speech market. Civil rights is definitely tide is turning. So moral standards, they're going up slowly but surely, wins the race. Personal liberty. We have people like Tamra Farah helping other organizations help parents keep their personal liberty intact and regain it, probably when like Kelly John Walker's was taken away and many other parents during the last few years, still happening today, by the way. You know what the Democrats got going for them? Their platform is the Hate Trump platform. It's super simple. Trump, look, he's reporting right there for CNN. It's a winning day again. President Trump says we are winning, right? Winning, winning, winning. And it's bouncing. He's winning so much, it's bouncing. That's how much President Trump is winning. It's an actual GIF graphic, right? That's what it is. GIF. Oh, so let's see. We have now, what time is it? Okay, good. We're also trying to I'm also trying to do better on my time, you guys. And I'm not keeping a stopwatch either anymore. I'm trying to just move on and learn every single week. And everybody who gives me feedback, by the way, thank you so much. Most of it's been very, very, very kindly given and good criticism, like helpful feedback. Some of it, not so much. So don't appreciate those comments as much, only because they're not helpful to me. But I do feel like I need to answer you back to not be rude too. So it'd be easier if you could just be nice about it and then we can have an actual nice conversation. Otherwise, it's kind of one-sided because I'm still going to be nice to you because I feel like being polite to people is important, but it gets kind of inequitable in our relationship. And eventually, we're not going to be able to continue that relationship. And it's better if we just all get along. Let's just say that. At the bottom line, it's always about the bottom line, people. Do unto others, golden rule. Let's just get along. 3 rules to live by for everybody in the world. Anyway, so with that, that was my Patriot Mom 007 MAGA minute. Actually, just minute. Now, Carolyn Levitt's gonna give us the MAGA minute, right? So
It's
let's
been
bring that
another
one up, and
incredibly
I'm
busy
gonna.
week here at the People's House. Let's roll through everything President Trump did for you, the American people. The Department of Homeland Security repurposed the CBP One app into the CBP Home app for illegal immigrants to self-deport. The number of illegal immigrant gotaways has plummeted to a daily average of just 77. Egg prices dropped this week, and the Department of Agriculture unveiled a strategy to curb egg prices even further. Inflation fell in February to its lowest point in just under 4 years. Some Maha moms, myself included, got together at the White House to discuss the first Maha Commission meeting and how we are going to make our food and our country healthy again. The Department of Education initiated a 50% reduction of force as we continue to make our government more efficient. And several more companies like Merck, GE Aerospace, and Asahi Beer announced massive investments in the United States of America. We are building back our country. We'll see you next week for the MAGA Minute.
Yay, Carolyn Levitt, one of the, not the most, because there were several others, one of the most competent press secretaries probably that we'll ever know about at 27 years old. Certainly, she's going to take that one for sure. I'm not sure anybody's going to break that record. Just like I say, with President Trump, he set so many records in the first administration. This next administration, he's going to set if the Guinness is still around, and I don't mean the beer like Asahi with the plant that just came over here that's going to do business here now, who, by the way, is a Japanese company, to my understanding. So, I mean, he's really just getting everybody on board. And to those people who've been making comments about him not doing anything or not pro-America, that's what you guys have been saying to me. And I'm trying to also have the conversation with you guys too, just to explain that him bringing the countries here, that is the most pro-America, because they're going to have to move all their industry, get buildings over here, equipment, either build it or haul it, barge it over here, right, on the oceans, right? And if we own the waterways, or some of them anyway, again, like we should, i.e. Panama Canal, or at least part of it, then we will be getting the benefit of that and we'll be maintaining it as well, of course. And with reward comes responsibility of maintenance. And so that's all pro America, pro our country. So for all of you guys that tell me it's not, I think that you're not really seeing the bigger picture. And I'm just saying, there he is winning again. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's just winning. I don't know how you guys have anything negative to say, but don't stop talking to me. I mean, for sure, I like kind of hearing it. It makes me think every time I get a comment like that. I do literally pause and think. I sometimes reread it, to tell you the truth, because it seems so implausible that it's a real question. But I also like discussing with you online because it helps me work through it. And sometimes the points I can see the other side. Like, it makes me really reflect and be like, I don't know if I agree with that, but I definitely can see the other side at that moment. And it definitely makes me understand the other side better. So we think we need to all do that. We need to have those dialogues, even on the DMs and text, in any way possible, just to spark the other perspective, right? The American perspective. I'm first generation born, but raised in America, so that is my perspective. Although I have the cultural perspective too of the Middle East, where my dad's from. So it's good to have a lot of them, but we got to talk to each other or text to each other or DM each other, whatever you want to do to make that happen. But Trump's having a winning week again, you guys. Egg prices, I heard they were supposed to be skyrocketing. There was no shortages in Arizona that I'm aware of at all. And they're going down. Gas is 358. It's gone down, I think, 30 roughly points in the expensive parts of town, because if you go to parts of town, it's like 20 cents cheaper. You know how it is. It's like that everywhere. So it's going down anyway. It doesn't matter. And inflation lowest point in 4 years. And so we are going to take a few more minutes today because we have that IT thing. So I've been told that a little overtime, but you guys know it might be 55 minutes, it might be 67 minutes. I don't know. We just don't know how much news there is to go over. Department of Ed, 50% reduction of force. There, that's unfortunate for some people, no doubt. Amazon just laid off 1,200 people. Nobody's really complaining about that. They do it all the time, but they're not helping our kids. And our show, the whole today, was about our kids and helping them. So, I mean, we just have to be responsible. If that is the one way we start, I say that's the best way because the most minds are being affected and lives are being ruined in the meantime. And then, of course, Carolyn Levitt, thank you again for wrapping up the MAGA Minute. There's too much for us to keep track of, and I try hard, but you always tell me one or two things. You guys can find her at Press Secretary. Let's see. I think she's at Press Secretary on Twitter. And House at White House. Also get them because then you get the MAGA Minute. Just search that out. If you don't get it here, keep up on what he's doing so that you understand that when you hear these doing nothing, you already have the information to tell you that that information is wrong from the other source. So, but you got to do your homework, right? You can't just listen to one source and assume they're telling you the truth at all times. That's not a thing in America in 2025. So, anyway, I mean, we're just glad that we're in a positive position right now, right? It's only going to go forward from here. And I always, as I do say every week, thanks for being here. I did see some people pop on today. I really appreciate anyone who has time in the middle of a Friday to watch. We're all really busy. So I don't know if it's a good time at lunchtime to kill your lunchtime and put me on American Perspective with Patriot Mom007 or a bad time, but you can always watch it back later on the show, the YouTube, the Rumble, and all those channels. So find us online and engage somehow. Nicely, please. I'll ask just in case anybody wants to be mean. Try not to be. Try to like avoid the urge. Like, you have a choice how to be every day and what to do and what to say. And it's hard to make the good choices for sure. I talk about it all the time. I just quit my gym membership at the beginning of the year. Not probably the best move, but it's just I had to be realistic. I'm not going. So we just always have to just be deliberate what we're thinking and doing and saying and try to be nice about it. And the world I think will just be a better place one thought at a time. Okay, that's what we have to do. It's really important if we're going to continue living with each other. When we want to do that, we love everybody, right? So if you guys do like what you hear, I really hope you will follow me on Instagram, Facebook, X, well, Instagram, Facebook, And YouTube and Rumble at Patriot_Mom007, they make it so difficult with all these usernames too. And X at PMom007, because they would not let me have the same name. Elon did not own it then, so it's not his fault. Don't blame him for that. It was pre-Elon Musk. X days, and that was Twitter. So also Robert in the back, he's at JData17 on Facebook and X. He's my lovely producer and helper and friend, and I could not do any of this without him, even the the mistakes, because they're not anybody's fault. It's just technology at its worst. And you guys just get involved, find the resources, click around. Don't just do Temu and shopping and reels. Get on the organization sites, the .govs, the .orgs, with all the information, and do the other stuff, just less time, and learn in your community how to get involved, whether it's in your neighborhood, meet your new neighbor, go to church, meet somebody new at church, go to the community picnic or the spring break carnival or something, and then meet new people, go meet your candidates. Of course, if you're going to vote, and you're going to pay them to be your employee, you should probably have at least some meetings before you hire them. So that's Business 101. I always say I'm a manicurist. I'm not a CEO, but common sense wins out all the time, every single time. So just do the best you can, make it the best community you can. Our kids are running around everywhere. They're very unsafe these days. It's really up to the adults in the room and the world to save them and keep it and make it safe. Once again, thank you, Tom Holman, for doing that every single day with ICE, Christy Holman. We love our new directors of all our law enforcement agencies. I'm not sure yet about Cash Patel. I just haven't had anything to report specifically. I'm sure we will see some stuff, but you can't fix everything overnight after 4 years of utter destruction. So everybody, we need to let them have their time to figure out what's been going on, as Doge has done for us the last several weeks. And we can see the bazillions and whatever's bigger than bazillion, because we're probably going to be there. I don't know what that number is, but they'll make it up. And we'll be at that number soon, because all the money they've been stealing from everybody for years is, yes, appalling, but also needing to be uncovered. And I'm sorry if you don't think it's true. If people write me about that too, that's all lies. I mean, at one point, everything can't be a lie all the time. So then you need to go and then look at the source. Stop listening. Don't even listen to me at this point. Now just go to the source. Stop listening to the people on TV too. And then look it up. And that's the resource and education part that I would say is so important. You got to take the next step, right? So you guys, thanks again. March 21st, Friday here in Arizona, American Perspective with Patriot Mom007. You guys have a really great weekend. We're way over. We're 9 minutes over. Sue me, somebody, whoever owns this airway. Sue me, put that in the mail. And we do look forward to seeing you guys next week on March 28th. Super great guest. I met her in July in Texas at one of our Take Our Border Back rallies that we did with a group of us. And actually, Robert, that's when I met him in actually San Ysidro, California, on one of our rallies with Mexico. And Jan Halper Hayes, Dr. Jan Halper Hayes. If you don't know her, I can't recap everything. That's way too much. That's at least a full notebook full of information. I don't have my notes there. She is something else. She's a little tiny package, and she's super powerful and super amazing. And she's my guest next week on March 28th. So you guys, if you are watching this back later, and check me out next Friday too on American Perspective with Patriot Mom007. Robert, thank you so much. And you can take us out.